So you just heard from Kamala Harris making a pretty dark and tedious final pitch to voters just 1 week before Election Day. The Harris campaign looks a lot different than it did this summer.
And understand, in this fight, as Tim Walz likes to point out, we are joyful warriors. Joyful warriors. Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. Never again. Never again. Never again.
That joy must have left its luggage in Chicago, because now that we're in the home stretch, Kamala's missing something.
It does suggest that your momentum has slowed. Do you feel like the race is slipping away?
I do not. And actually, I agree with you. I think certainly polling is a measure, but to be frank, if I'd listened to polls, I would have never run for my first or second office. I wouldn't be here talking with you. And what I am seeing are in states such as South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, historic turnout. Historic turnout.
Yeah, historic Republican turnout. Republicans are winning the early vote in North Carolina and Georgia for the first time in history. Trump's inner circle telling Axios, we've never had data that looks this good. Trump's confident, and Harris claiming she's confident, but has a lot of problems. When she said she wouldn't do anything differently than Biden, she really meant it, because she's even campaigning like Biden. We're starting to realize the Joy campaign, people were just joyful she wasn't Joe. Her closing message was Joe's message. Trump's a dictator. That message wasn't working for Joe. That's why he got whacked. But for some reason, they think it's working for Kamala. Kamala's aides are increasingly hopeful that the campaign's attempts to cast Trump as a fascist will carry Ms. Harris to a narrow triumph. Everything in the country is more dangerous, disorganized, and expensive. And Kamala Harris claims she's running on the future, but can't stop talking about a European dictator who's been dead for 80 years. Kamala talks about Hitler more than a history professor. She says she's the candidate of change, and she's giving her closing speech in Washington, D.C., at the Ellipse, the site of Trump's Jan 6 speech. A week before the election, and Kamala isn't in the battlegrounds, she's in D.C. talking about January 6th. And even though she's giving the speech right in front of the White House, Biden's not invited.
Mr. President, will you be watching the Vice President's speech tonight?
I will.
Why are you not attending? It's right there on the ellipse.
Because it's for her. This is her night.
What do you expect to hear out of her tonight? What's the closing message from the Vice President?
I'll let you hear it first.
Now, if you can squint, you can see Biden poking his head out of the window of the White House, but the nurses won't let him leave. And he couldn't come anyway because Kamala took out a restraining order on him. Biden's not allowed within 100 yards of the vice president. Every time they're seen together, she loses votes. And tonight's speech isn't helping.
Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within.
Every politician has an enemies list. The only difference is that Trump hasn't prosecuted anybody on his. Biden and Harris have an enemies list, yeah. And they've prosecuted Trump, Bannon, Navarro, Rudy, Weisselberg. I could go on for an hour with the amount of Republicans they locked up. Biden, just last week, while he was campaigning for Harris, said we have to lock Trump up. Trump's running for president to stay out of prison because he's on Biden and Harris's enemies list. He's literally running against a prosecutor. But here she is giving herself a nice makeover.
Is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make.
Kamala Harris was the most radical left senator in the entire Senate. She reached across the aisle? Never. She never even did anything in the Senate. What legislation did she get passed? Nothing. Kamala's seeking common sense solutions. What is she talking about? She opened the border, emptied the prisons, broke the bank, and put boys in girls' locker rooms. Here's a common sense solution to stop inflation. Stop spending so much money. She's campaigning on spending even more money. She's running on solving the problems she created and couldn't solve while she had the power. And what experts is Kamala going to listen to? The experts who said shut the schools down for 2 years? Or the ones who said if we get vaxxed, we can't catch or spread COVID? Biden promised unity too. And all he did was unify the country against them. Trump saw Kamala's speech coming from a mile away. It's nothing new.
Today we're going to talk about the real character of Kamala, and a person who has no remorse for the anguish she's inflicted upon families all across America. On the contrary, I have to tell you, Kamala intends to conflict and keep this misery going, and she's going to keep it going as long as she can, because that's the only way she can get elected. She's going out and only criticizing, talking about Hitler and Nazi, and because her record's horrible. Her borders are the worst in the history of the world. Millions of Americans are lying awake at night, worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances.
Democrats are secretly agreeing with Trump that Kamala's fascist attacks are backfiring because American voters want to hear about the future. Democrats are asking, we're going to shame people rather than give people a reason to get people off their couches to vote? I don't see us moving anyone over with that message. It's risky to go negative because sometimes independents don't like negativity, is what Democrats in Michigan are mumbling. Local anchors from Michigan are asking Kamala about the issues Kamala refuses to mention.
What's your message to Michigan voters in terms of the economy? We have auto workers who are being laid off and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard. She, by the time I was a teenager, was able to save up for our first home. And I understand.
Kamala hasn't put any thought into you or what you're going to do with all the problems she heaped on you, because she spends every waking hour thinking about one man, not Doug, Donald. She played the YMCA before she took the stage tonight. Now, if you were running against Hitler, would you be trolling him and blasting his playlist? She's silly. The fascist closing message isn't designed to win. It's designed to justify their resistance if they lose. Opposing a so-called fascist in the White House gives the left a license to do whatever it wants. Lie, cheat, steal, riot, investigate, impeach, maybe even something worse. And they can frame every exercise of presidential authority as a fascist takeover. Trump fires someone, which he has every right to do. He's a dangerous tyrant who must be stopped. Trump starts deporting illegals, which is what the country wants, internment camps. And AOC starts crying and scratching ICE agents' eyes out in front of the cameras. Trump's Justice Department opens an investigation into shady Democrat campaign fundraising, suspicious ballot harvesting, insider trading. See, he's locking up his political enemies just like we warned. Any executive order Trump signs, just like all the presidents before him, it's going to be seen through the prism of a savage king abusing his power and destroying democracy. The dictator on day one hoax is their insurance policy, just like Russia was. So if they lose, they have an excuse to investigate and decapitate his presidency. This isn't even a well-thought-out strategy. The Kamala campaign is just listening to what they see on MSNBC. Even Bill Clinton, the Bernie bros, their own super PAC. They're like, Madam Vice President, you might want to focus on the American people and how you're going to make their lives better instead of blowing off steam about a blonde billionaire. If Trump wins with a diverse coalition and even wins the popular vote, he has a broad governing mandate. And this gives Democrats a reason to resist the will of the people. So this isn't over on Election Day. It'll only be the beginning. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.